Justin Hart, and welcome to the Legacy Playbook, sponsored by True Legacy Homes. And with me today, I have the CEO of True Legacy Homes, Paul Williamson. Paul, hi, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
Well, this is kind of your show.
Well, that's true. I guess you couldn't have anybody else.
I want to start you out with a quote here. This is kind of the summation of one of our clients and her experiences. She kept one box out of the whole house, 40 plus years of a family's life. She kept one box, photo albums, her mom's wedding ring, and a hand-painted Christmas ornament her dad made her when she was 6. And that was it. That's what mattered. Everything else, True Legacy Homes took care of. Is that a common story you hear among these things?
Well, it is because, the houses that we see today are an expression of decades of love and decades of a family's history. And as Americans, we love to consume. And so we buy a lot of things. And those houses end up full a lot of times. And sometimes overwhelmingly full. And I think that's a key sentiment we hear over and over again. It's just families are overwhelmed by the memories that are in the homes, the physical amount of content that are in the homes. And I'm not surprised to hear a story about that being distilled, that love being distilled down to a few key items. And I think that's a really important part of sort of the grieving and the healing process that families go through when maybe they've lost a loved one or mom is moving into assisted living or some sort of care situation. It's just recognizing the memories and focusing on those few things that really reflect key moments in life, and not be concerned about just the overall enormity of the task.
Yeah, maybe we should take a step back. So, True Legacy Homes, based in San Diego, we're serving a good portion of Southern California, and we have a few services that you guys provide. But a lot of people, when they think of estate sales, right, they're thinking of the auction house. They're thinking of some highfalutin, white glove type of this person is coming in to buy the $1 million vase that they've had in there. But that's not the case. Anyone can have an estate sale. Is that right?
Anyone can have an estate sale. Really, an estate sale is an opportunity for a family to pass on in a dignified way the lifetime of memories that are expressed in physical items to other people who want to purchase them and continue to enjoy them, continue to use them. And we have shoppers who really love these treasures, the things that are in every one of our everyday houses can find a new home and a new story with a new family or a new person who will use that china still or sit at that special dining table. It doesn't have to go into the dump. And for us, there's this missional aspect of doing it that we get to continue the legacy, and hence the true legacy of the family, that those items are moving on to people who continue to use them and treasure them. And there's no better expression of love than to see those family items continue on.
There's something unique, though, about True Legacy Homes is that that's just one of the services we provide here, right? The estate sales is sometimes a means to an end, sometimes a service in itself, but we have this sort of senior transition service and company that is very rare. I don't think there are very many companies like this, even across the country. Is that right?
No. When we started True Legacy Homes, we identified that families who are going through these life transitions were very overwhelmed. And one of the areas that they became overwhelmed with was the multitude of service providers that they had to deal with. That everything was fractured, and you had to call lots of different companies to coordinate with. And so what we said was we can put all these services together in a comprehensive way to help families throughout the lifespan of the transition. So from finding care placement, where we can help a family actually find in a personalized way care communities for their parents, to conducting estate sales, to cleaning out the house so that it's fully ready, all the way to actually purchasing older homes that need to be brought back to sort of their highest potential, and then even renovating homes where we fully renovate family homes that have these lifetimes of memories, but need to be made ready for the next family. And so we look at it sort of as a continuum that we can help a family and be that one phone call that they can make and know that we can handle everything, and that we can do so, I think most importantly, in a dignified way that brings honor to the family's legacy there.
Yeah.
That we're not just there to sell items in a home. We are there to honor and protect the family's entire legacy. And you have to. It's a labor of love. I mean, it's not something you're going to get involved in accidentally. Families, who are going through these life transitions, it's very emotional, and it's probably the most difficult time in life. And we are there. Our teams are engaged with families throughout Southern California every week. Every family that we're working with is going through a difficult moment in life.
And we've helped hundreds and thousands of customers in this Southern California area on this. And I think it's interesting because every time I turn a corner, there's something really beautiful about the products that True Legacy puts out. Because as you said, we will do a direct offer on the home, and then we will refurbish, we'll redo, we'll get that up to spec and make it incredibly beautiful. Actually, that's what I love is our renovations are really extraordinary. But that whole journey, like you said, is so unique. I'm gonna read you a story. This is someone that you're familiar with. I think I've changed the names for privacy's sake, but let me just tell you about Donna, okay? And I want to get your reaction because she's going to kind of lead us through this story here. This is the journey that many of True Legacy Homes customers, clients really experience. So she's 56. She's a school administrator in Scottsdale, Arizona, okay? But she grew up here. And her mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 18 months ago, and she moved into a memory care place in Carlsbad, just down the way from their home. Dad passed away 5 years before. So memory care runs her about $11,000 a month. It's crazy. It's intense, right? And the family needs to liquidate the Carlsbad house to fund her mom's care. But the house is packed. Full house. It is packed to the roof. 40 plus years of living, like you alluded to, right? And Dawn's been putting this off for 6 months. Again, she lives out of state. So finally, the realtor calls us, and the message is basically the house is full. My client just can't list it like this. Can you help? And I'm guessing that's a pretty common occurrence.
Very common. I would say that's our typical call. And I think I used this word earlier. People are overwhelmed at that moment, and rightfully so. I mean, first you're dealing with the emotions of having to work with your aging parent, and it's hard to see. It's hard to see mom or dad,
Right.
who's your hero, and see their health starting to decline. It's hard to see. Or if you've actually lost a loved one, obviously there's some real genuine grief there. So you're in the midst of that, and then you walk into a home that was your family home, and you have all these fond memories, and now you have to sort through and start to process all of the content in the home. And I would say the first thing I would say is when you get to that point, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's you need to give yourself the permission to feel overwhelmed, and with the knowledge that you don't have to solve all the problems. When we're overwhelmed, the best thing you could do is ask for help.
Right.
And whether that's from True Legacy or someone else, find somebody who can help you. The second thing I would say is it is not abnormal to have a house that is just chock full. It is bursting to the gills. It is very typical. We're Americans. We love to buy things. We love to shop. We love, I would say most of our houses are full, if not the garages are full, the attics are full, storage sheds are full. So that is very normal. I would say third, you don't have to go through everything. There are services like ours where we can come in and organize the house in such a way that you can see what's there. Where, and then before we conduct our sale, you can actually remove items from the house. So you don't have to do all the work yourself. There are people who will help you.
Yeah, yeah. So Donna goes on, right? So this is Donna's house. Estate sales specialist goes into the house, makes these notes. 3-bedroom, ranch style in Carlsbad, built late 70s. Living room has a grand baby piano, a grandfather clock that still works, china cabinet full of Lenox, hand-painted decorative plates, crystals everywhere. The kitchen, 2 sets of silver flatware, a whole cabinet, nothing but vases. Apparently she loved vases. Tupperware from the Reagan era. There's a spare bedroom that's been converted for pure storage, right? Carved oak dresser, a secretary desk, art stacked up against the walls in droves. Upstairs was Dad's domain, model trains, coins, military memorabilia, vintage cameras, hardcover books, first editions, dozens of boxes, right? And the garage, floor to ceiling, snap-on tools, drill press, a table saw. I mean, when your specialist walks through a house like that, what goes through their mind on this?
Well, my first reaction would be, it's a life well lived, right? Those are people who had passions and they pursued them, right? It's not a house that was a museum built with just the minimal amount of furniture or the latest
A life well
decor from Crate and Barrel. These are things that they loved and they were passionate about, the train sets and the tools. Somebody whose garage is full of tools was a builder, right? He was in there making furniture, doing cabinetry, or maybe making his train set better. A woman who loves art and vases, she's got passions. So that's my first reaction, is that's what you're seeing as an expression of, a passionate life. People who enjoyed the world and enjoyed, traveling and collecting things and had curiosity. I would say especially they were curious. And so that's their first reaction. I would say that the second reaction is, guess what? You're not alone. There's a lot of other people who have had curiosity, and there's a whole nother generation who are also curious and they're also passionate and they love the stuff that you think, well, nobody else could enjoy this. There are thousands of people who love that stuff still. And an estate sale is not just about emptying a home or earning some money. It is primarily about that transition of moving an item from somebody who loved it, who maybe can't love it anymore, to somebody who will love it again. And it happens every single day. And you'd be shocked at what people love still.
The specialist was also shocked because they went to the back and pulled off a tarp. And underneath the tarp was an old Maserati.
No.
Yeah, a Maserati. So how often do you come across those type of finds?
Well, that's pretty unique.
It wasn't running. It was all. I mean,
yeah.
he may have tried to fix it up himself, but it was there. It was there.
We sell almost anything you could imagine. So every house has your typical things because we live very similarly. Your furniture and your flatware and your china and things like that, some art. But people have unique collections. So we've sold everything from, we've sold boats, we sell lots of cars, we sell art, jewelry. I think the strangest thing we've ever sold is an entire collection of meat grinders.
What?
The 3,000 meat grinders. Somebody was an avid collector of meat grinders, and before you ask, they sold very well. Actually, really well.
Because people will find those things.
People will find them, and
Yeah.
they were all antiques, and so they went to restaurateurs and cooks and people
Gotcha.
who are, doing kind of home chefs. So it was sold wonderfully.
How do we appraise those sort of? We obviously don't have like a meat grinder expert on board to price those things out, right? Or what do we find there? What do you?
How do you know I'm not a meat grinder
That's
expert?
right.
No.
Where the body's buried.
What is a meat grinder
meat
expert?
grinder, right.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So, first on standard items, things that are in everyday homes, we have a standard pricing catalog. We sell, every home has, from a certain era, has similar things in it. People went to the same stores and bought. They went to Sears, they went to JCPenney, and they had a certain inventory. So we have a standard pricing for most items. Then for specialty items that are one-off, we do our own research, right? So we have a series of pricing databases from both internal and from third parties that we go look up items. And then for really special items, we have special people on staff that can appraise. But I would say the main route is that we sell a lot of stuff every week, and so we know from our past what things sold for, or similar things. Where it gets interesting is when you see something that's truly one-off, and then we treat that very specially and do the research, because that some of those items can be worth a lot more than people would think.
Yeah, I've seen that before where we've had an estate sale and we've pegged it at X amount, and all of a sudden you wake up the next week and you're like, wow, what happened at that sale? And they said, well, they found something. They found the Batmobile. They found these crystals. They found this thing, and wow.
I would tell the average family, don't throw anything away.
Yeah.
You don't know what the new or younger generations want and what they're willing to pay, or what they're interested in, and so don't throw anything away.
So Donna comes into town. She's here for a weekend, and one of our guys gets with her, walks her through. Our estate specialist done this hundreds of times, and they start looking through the house. They help organize her. They set expectations, and then they leave. They get this contractual stuff done, and they figured out the right way. But now Donna's kind of left, and she's got a couple emotions, right? You've alluded to a few of those before. I think the first one is, and this is probably something that a lot of people now can appreciate as their parents age.
Yep.
I'm failing my mom. Is that a common emotion there, that they feel like there's something that they want? This is the last gift they want to do their mom, which is to do this right.
Absolutely, we hear that. It's not uncommon to feel guilty. In fact, that's one of the stages of grief, right, is guilt. It breaks my heart when I hear that, when I hear families say that, because I know that comes out of a desire to express love. It's a desire to return the love that they received from their parents. The first thing I would tell families is you're not responsible for what naturally occurs in life. We naturally age. Dying is a natural part of life. You're not responsible for that. You didn't fail them. There wasn't something that their health care or
Right.
that you missed. It's a natural part of life. It doesn't make it any easier, but you're not responsible. I would also just say that you're not alone, that everyone else who's going through that, and again, that doesn't make it easier, but it means that you can share the experience with others, talk about it with your other loved ones, because they're going through similar feelings. That's where I would say, highlight though, if you work with the right estate sale companies, they're going to treat that experience with dignity and recognize that everything in the home, including the home, has unique value to you and your family, not because it's necessarily monetarily important, but because it belonged to your mom or belonged
Right.
to your dad. And so that coffee mug, it may be worth 50 cents, but it was mom's coffee mug.
Right.
Right. And so that has a value that's beyond the financial value. And we recognize that, and that's really embedded in how our staff works with families, our processes, and just the care that we take.
So I'll throw out, another emotion that Donna has is that she feels like she's gonna throw out something that's irreplaceable, and you kind of touched on that as well. And then a third emotion is like, I can't do this from Arizona. I mean, I think that fully a third of the customers we have are siblings from out of state. If they're not from out of state, their siblings are. I mean, it is a unique situation we have here in Southern California and San Diego and in many places around the country where the kids can't necessarily afford to live or have other opportunities outside of this stuff. But now when mom ages, you got to call. You got to get there and make it happen. How does she deal with that sort of emotion? Is she like, is that something that we keep her informed on, or tell us about that experience that people have when they're doing this from out of state?
I have a similar situation personally. So my parents and my family live in separate states. So it's hard. It is hard. It is hard to be at a distance and see your parents aging and not being able to, and hear things that are going on and not being able to sort of directly intervene. It's hard. I mean, there's not really any way to make it easy. What True Legacy does during the estate sale process and care placement is we are communicating and giving regular updates to the family who's out of state. We're providing photos and videos. We do a full rundown and of post-sale of everything that happened, and give very detailed records of what sold. But it's hard.
Yeah.
And trying, and I would say we've had a number of experiences where we've seen clients before calling us go back and forth from their home in the Midwest to San Diego for months and sometimes even years to try to process the house themselves, and only to not be able to do it, and really make themselves even more overwhelmed. So I think it's, especially for people who are out of state, reach out early, understand how we can help you, because you don't have to go through it alone. Now, I think you should still plan on coming out at least once, and just to go through the memories and honor of your family, but you don't have to be out for weeks or months on end.
Right.
To do the physical work.
Now, a lot of our clients, or the homeowners themselves, are the boomer generation, and they're slowly, I think the midpoint now, they'll be turning 80 within the next 2 to 3 years, right?
Yep.
But now, here's what happened in her estate sale, and this was kind of I think the denouement, the moment where she experiences great relief. Right, the estate sales happen on Saturday and Sunday, and backing up, our crew starts on Monday or Tuesday, and they basically within 5 days, they've got your entire house organized. And I've been through there before and after, especially in the really difficult houses. And it's amazing what our crews can put together and get it ready for the
yeah, they're basically turning a home into a department store.
Right.
So they are taking like items from all over the house and grouping them together like you'd expect to find in a store. So, if there's dishes in the dining room and there's boxes, dishes in the kitchen, and there's some old dishes in the garage, they bring them all together, and then they organize them and display them in an attractive way so that somebody who's shopping, just like if you went to any other store, you'd want to see things displayed in an organized and easy to find way. And then they price everything. And so when you come into the home, when a shopper comes into the home on the weekend, we presented everything in the best light possible so that they can see it, they can, they can find it easily. And they're excited about it because it looks good.
Well, no, but how do people find out about this? I mean, is this like my daughter puts a lemonade stand and she's at the whim of a kind neighbor passing by? You see someone out there with a garage sale on Saturday. This is not your garage sale, right? This is something very different.
No.
Tell us, how do people know and show up for this thing?
So after doing thousands of sales, we built a marketing system to attract shoppers. And first, we have a database of tens of thousands of shoppers who've been to our past sales, and we give them notification of every sale and items that are going to be at the sale. And we're obviously doing other online advertising for specific sales. If there's exceptional or unique items, we are looking for those specific shoppers. So, we'll post items in online forums. If there's a stamp collection, we'll contact stamp collectors that we know of. So there's, we're sort of cultivating a shopper base constantly. And these are people who know how to and love to shop at estate sales.
Yeah.
So and these are people who love the things that come out of everyday family homes. So that's your best audience is people who love it. And that's who we have attracted, and we're continuously building that. So it's not just a couple signs down the street and you hope that people show up like a garage sale. We have very specifically cultivated, and our typical sale will have somewhere between 400 and 600 shoppers.
Wow.
And a bigger sale could have upwards of 1,000. It's an event. We have shoppers lining up early in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. So here was the report from Donna's house, right? The piano sold in the first hour. The grandfather clock went to a collector who drove down from Long Beach. The tools moved extremely fast. The Maserati was sold separately to a restoration buyer. And that sale alone covered 2 months of Donna's mom's memory care. Total gross proceeds, over $16,000 or more. I mean, it was crazy. And that number, puts in perspective, Donna had gotten a full quote from a junk removal, right? She had gone the route of just having to throw everything out. And this was amazing. She had this incredible experience. Monday after the sale, the clean out crew comes through. Her house was broom clean by Wednesday at the very least. The realtor listed it the next week. First phone call to list the house. 23 days later, Donna is set, and Donna flew home. And it was 23 days from her first call to when we had the estate sale, and everything was cleared out. And I hope that brought it seemed her comment was, my world will never be the same because the piece that it brought me was extraordinary.
Yeah, and that's the experience that we are trying to bring to families every week throughout Southern California. And I'm very happy that it worked out well for her. That's what we're trying to do with every family, and that you don't have to go through it alone. You do have to go through it.
Yeah.
We can't prevent that from happening, but you don't have to do it alone. And you can have somebody, a team of people by your side that do it all the time, but still do it in a way that is uh, personal and dignifying to your family. It is every house that every family that we work with, we treat individually. We do not ever think of anybody as just a number.
You know, as a parent, I see other parents and I see things online. And I go, man, I am not living a unique life. I mean, parents have the same experience, and I think the same can be had for these later stages in life. Uh, you may think that your experience that this is very unique and very difficult, but we've dealt with it before, and I think that's kind of the theme I wanted to convey as well was if if you've had that experience, we know 20 people who've had it too, and we know how best to handle it.
Exactly. The aging process is an interesting one in that everybody goes through it, but it's a topic, and this is the purpose of this podcast is to talk about these topics because it's a topic that is generally taboo that everyone goes through with. Of course, you're going to go through it yourself. I will go through it. You'll go through it, but we're going to go through it with our parents here, in the next decade. They're but it's something that people don't share about. They they keep that experience very personal and private, and of course, a part of it is always going to be private. But I think we have an opportunity, and um, as a sort of leaders in this space, to talk about it and share about it and open it up to people so that they can learn from what other people have been through, and that you don't have to start from scratch. That there is a foundation of experiences that you can learn from, and I think that should give people some more peace that that there are other people who've been through it.
What when you go through this whole process and the home is finally passed on and everything else there, are there moments where you think where you talk to clients and they look back, do they feel like this was the right experience? Are they? It's just it seems like one of the challenges is this is a service people don't know exists, right? And that's one of the comments I hear frequently from our clients is, I am so glad I found you because my neighbor just did this themselves.
Well, yeah, we hear that frequently. I think I think it's also a service that people didn't know that they even needed, right? So
Right.
you don't have a daily need to empty your home. It's something that happens at a certain moment in life, and because of that, I think it's often a service that people don't want to think about because it's a time of life. Look, we don't think about the aging and dying process until it happens. It's not something we like to prepare for. Um, yes, we hear that frequently that they were unaware of the service. Um, but I would say you don't have to go through it alone. And whether it's with us or another estate sale company or utilizing friends and family, we see a lot of what breaks my heart is when I see a family member or maybe two who feel like they have to do it by themselves.
Right.
Get help from someone, from a neighbor, from somebody you love, your family, a company like ours. Find people who are willing to help. Americans are good people, and we do help.
Now, frequently our customers will get help from their immediate family, their brothers and sisters, but sometimes that can add a layer of complication into this arena. Is that right?
Sure. I mean, families are messy. Everybody's family's messy. Everyone's family's messy. Everyone has conflict in their families. It's just a part of It's a part of being an emotional creature. We have conflict. The passing of mom really can open up those wounds, some of those old wounds.
Yeah.
And there is no solution. It's hard.
Well,
right?
I love
but,
our, yeah.
But what a company like ours can do is we can come in as sort of a neutral third party and help with the process. And we're not there to judge or take sides. We're there to just help and to be a set of hands that that is willing to do the work.
I love one of our specialists told me a story how the siblings had very different ideas as to what was going to be kept and what wasn't. And there were some military pictures, some type of honors that I think the father had. And the son was like, just sell them, right? But our specialist also knew that the daughter had a particular soft spot for that. And so they kind of just shuffled it around until they could get agreement between the siblings, and she took it with her. That I think that sort of those difficulties arise frequently. It'll often hamper them from moving forward. But our folks are well versed in that and have massaged many sibling rivalries over the years.
Yeah, it's pretty common. It's pretty common to see conflict. Obviously, it's not about the things that are in the home. There's wounds or some sort of past history that's being expressed through, whether it's a disagreement over what to keep, or maybe a disagreement of who gets to keep it, right?
Yeah.
Those are long-standing issues, but our team is very adept at navigating that and trying to bring resolution and clarity in a delicate way, in a delicate situation.
I think the other thing that's interesting is the timing of the piece, right? Like sometimes, mom has a spill, she's hospitalized, and it looks like she's taking a turn for the worse. And so you're scrambling to get stuff together, get things ready. You're making calls to people like True Legacy. And then mom recovers like she was born yesterday, and she's up and around, and she's making her own coffee the next 2 weeks down the road. And so that fits and starts is I think pretty common, right? But it does sort of break that illusion that this is coming. And when people have that moment, immediately they start thinking, I've got to get this house cleaned. What's your recommendation for them to just get started in their brain around how they be part of this journey? Because part of it is them working through it too, and they have to be part of the prep here as well, right?
Yeah, I would say call us early. You don't need to be at a point where next week the house needs to be emptied.
Yeah.
Call us early. There's people we've talked to years ahead of that. In fact, we've been written into a number of wills as a service provider that a senior took it upon themselves to come up with a plan. We've seen that. Now, that's pretty abnormal. I wouldn't say that's a usual course of business, but I would say make the call early and get the information. We're happy to come out and tell you what we see and how we can help you, but get educated as early as you can, because as you deal with the actual passing, it's very emotional, right? It's a hard time when you're in an emotional state, and everyone is emotional
right
when their mom passes or their dad passes. It's a difficult time to learn new things. You're not really in the learning mindset after mom passes.
Right. So I there was a call the other day came in, and it was an older lady, and she said, I just received one of your postcards, and I want to talk to you about it. And our estate sales reps here, they called her, they talked to her, and they said, well, is this for your house? She says, yeah, but I'm not dead yet. I'm not there yet, but I just want to know, right? So she's ahead of the game on those sort of things. That's great. Paul, tell us, how did you envision this company that will do a trifecta of really important services for seniors aging in our society here. Where did this company come out of?
Totally organic. So my business partner and I have been in real estate and investing in real estate, and we were working with families, buying homes from families who had gone through a life transition, and we actually started to partner with estate sale companies to bring them in, and some other service providers like care placement agencies, and we didn't like the way they operated at all. And we thought, this is not how I would want my own mom and dad to be treated. It's not how I want their home to be handled. And so we built, step by step, brick by brick, of a process to do this. And so it is completely organic. We saw a need, and we worked directly with families to come up with a service. Made a lot of mistakes when we first started, but because we showed the families that we cared and that we were genuine, we fixed mistakes, and a lot of families were very gracious with us. But it's totally organic.
That's awesome. I love and it's family owned. I mean, this is owned by
Family owned. It's owned by myself and my partners. We've been operating it for 8 years now, and every decision has a heart behind it. And our number one value as a business is that we dignify others, and you see that in the work we do. You could not be in a family's homes in these intimate situations on a weekly basis if you can't treat them with dignity.
Well, Paul, thanks for being with us today. I think one of the things that I take away is that you're in good hands when you place the legacy of your family, your home, your treasures, dad's treasures, mom's piano, dad's toy train set, right? When you place that with True Legacy Homes, and that's something I witnessed myself. So thanks again for having us here. Join us on the next True Legacy Homes podcast, the Legacy Playbook. And we're going to walk you through some of the more difficult things as we enter into this very, very exciting but challenging phase of our country, where we honor those parents who are moving on, and what we do to fix that grand piano. And maybe there's a Maserati in the back of the yard there that we'll uncover in your house too. You may not know it, but Dad's got a Maserati back there, right? So,
well, thanks for having me, Justin.
Thanks, Paul.